Ranger sold his wardrobe. The Lone Ranger sold his bad dog. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know, 'cause times change, I know.
On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange, well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange, well, I know. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, you say. On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange, well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange, well, I know. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, you say. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, 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 work, work, work harder, you say.
Come along, join the fun, in a world where adventure is never done. Every corner we turn, a new friend in tow. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know. Across the lands, together we go. Hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode. It's time to start the magic on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show. See the sights, so much to know across the land. Together we go, hand in hand we join the flow. Discover wonders in the Globus Show, where every day's a brand new episode on the Globus Show. It's time to learn and grow on the Globus Show.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Robot in a human skull, helmet jogging through synthetic tapestries. Pixelated sunset shade, the soft, well-upholstered hell from me. Peaceful, not harmless, the sword she dares thought sharpest. River whispers secrets, I've been to listen as its heart drifts. Fishing a balloon, swimming laps through the lunacy. I pause my art to be here, but this 2-week notice looms from me. Personal's not important, but the story's mine to orchestrate. Select all, delete the self, I owe no debt. Reborn today, slot Buddha in the hammock, sipping silence in the splendor. My butt, brains on hiatus, can't remember what it rendered. Without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel would turn. But mushrooms beat victory points in the lessons we unlearn. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique dissolves when the argument's not well articulated. You should always be constructing lives you never want to quit. Protagonists and futures where your past has no more grip. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it.
Happy in my cell, yet aware of wasted planets. This orbit's got potential that this tired soul abandons. Synthetic reality spirals in VR kaleidoscope. True leaks through the cracks where the rivers finally spoke. The soft rebellion's woven into high count malaise. The third monkeys at the art, crafting legends for the rain. I am not the person dwelling in your head's projection. These mirrored halls, warp reflections. Perception breeds infection.
Protagonist in fractured timelines clawing through the static. My R is the only tether to the real, unpause the magic. Robot soul whispers, build that life you crave to live. Delete the lies, the architect inside is much more to give. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique dissolves when the argument's not well articulated. You should always be constructing lives you never want to quit. Protagonists and futures where your past has no more grip. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. The river taught me patience, the mushroom lent me clarity. I traded points for insight, left the victory to parity. The wheels won't turn without our brains, no systems we create. This peaceful, not harmless ethos calibrates my state.
This is my 2-week notice, my cells, walls won't confine. Slot Buddha meditates while my butt brain rewires time. Waste of a planet, or perfect, depending on the stance. I owe my past self nothing, so I'll dance while I advance.
Third monkey at the gate, swinging lanterns through the flood. Ties wash synthetic truths, I emerge, caked in the mud. Peaceful, not harmless, call it resolve in the abstract. Protagonist in fiction, rewriting lines at the past. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique dissolves when the argument's not well articulated. You should always be constructing lives you never want to quit. Protagonists and futures where your past has no more grip. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique dissolves.
Hey, yo. What up, Twitch? What up, Anti-War Machine? Bye-bye. What up, Larry? What up, Dizzy J? What up, Fembox Fan? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, Black Math X? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. I ain't never missed a stream since I followed a week ago. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. It's your boy. It's your boy. It's your boy. Back with another one. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of lead-in chatter today. I made pickles. I made my own pickles. Vacuum refrigerator pickles and pickles that I cooked and then put in a jar. They're good as shit. That was neat. That's about it. Stampy's sleeping on the couch. Might show up later. I guess we can get right into content. See how much we can get through. Pickler. Yeah, one of them is it's not quite bread and butter. Kind of like a sweet and sour. There's like sugar and vinegar in the mix, but then also peppers and onions. The other one, I added a little bit of chipotle seasoning, so it's got a little heat to it. That was kind of cool. Biohybrid tech is creepy, but ultimately good for humanity. New GT, let's go.
I want to talk to you guys about making biohybrid robotics because it is so much more than just making nightmare robots. And yes, nightmare robots are part of the deal, but it's also doing a whole lot of good. Very uncanny and possibly disturbing good, but still good, and we'll talk about it. Biohybrids come in a wide variety of forms. In fact, we are already using them for medicine right now. We genetically
Oh, I just realized the thing that I forgot that I intended to say. I bought my own merch. I wanted a copy of the shirt for myself. What up, Elron?
engineer viruses so
You can have a cool shirt just like this. Just go on the Redbubble store and get it.
that they can gene edit people. That has been done. It's been done with sickle cell anemia. This group is taking algae and then converting it into a biohybrid robot that can then deliver medicine. Now, I'm not particularly fond of algae, mainly because they produce byproducts that can cause ALS. In fact, even living near a body of water can increase your chances of getting ALS significantly, which is a neurodegenerative condition. So I just have a thing against algae. But yeah, it works. And this is why lipids are such a big deal, lipid nanoparticles, because you can shove them full of stuff and then those can enter your cells directly. Your cells are covered in a lipid bilayer, it makes a little circle, and then you have to get past that in order to get into the cell. In fact, research on lipid nanoparticles, so protocells, have been very effective for both figuring out the origins of life, but also medicine, because your cells are just goop inside of lipid. More recently, researchers have been working on making organs or limbs, parts of a whole body, because you can grow them independently and then they can be put
What up, chef? That's right, you heard it here. You are just composed of goop and lipids.
together like Legos. And yes, a synthetic lung may be in the future for us. Also work on kidneys and livers, but research in those seems to be better to just grow mini versions of them because they can still kind of do the same job. I think the living body robots are kind of the creepiest ones, like muscle fiber wrapped around a little spring so that it can move and even be directed. It's just uncanny because technically made of human tissue, but it's not in a human. But this could be part of a limb. Yes, you could potentially grow a limb, assemble it, and then use it, as opposed to one you might not have. Hell, maybe you can have multiple limbs. I don't know. I don't know that the structure.
You mean, what up, Astral Storm? You mean like the background thing? Or like, do they have a filter that I'm not picking up? Because I'm like, the face filter? No idea. Didn't even know they were using a face filter. I believe you.
Is there, but I bet someone's going to try it. I mean, you do technically already have multiple limbs. I mean, more than 4. This is one of the papers that just generally creeped people out because they made a biomechanical hand. It's made out of human tissue, mind you. They grew muscle fibers and put it together and made each individual finger so that they could move like our own hands. And we've all seen the flesh thing that I love.
It's the flesh thing. The horror. The horrors beyond human comprehension.
So much. Also made from human tissues that they wanted to become a skin for robots that could potentially grow, heal, and give sensation. Although there have been better alternatives, and I've talked about them, like carbon nanofibers, than your robot needing flesh. And because people always ask, we are on the verge of biopunk. You can get cybernetic enhancements. You can get them right now. People are getting brain chips. If you want a future where you can have a tail or cat ears, I guess you can have it. I don't know why you would want it. Maybe I don't want to know why, but I don't see why it's not possible. So yes,
Don't kink shame, GT.
I do adore the creepy side of science, and I'm never going to stop talking about it, but there's good things happening too. When the robots rebel, I'll probably be the person to tell you about it. Follow for more.
We're beefing on this. We're really, because GT has been ending every episode with when the robots rebel, I'll be the one, and I feel like that's it. Like that's my job.
Let's talk about engineering synthetic life. This technology has been here for a while, and yes, we as humanity have made living things from non-living things. There's artificial bacteria, there's artificial yeast now. They're trying to make an artificial human genome. That is probably never going to be cloned into a person, but yeah, it's probably possible. Blade Runner, anyone? This technology, however, has a good amount of flaws, and as we are moving toward using it in more medical research and medical treatments, it's worthy to consider what maybe we can fix and what could go wrong. So typically, when we engineer something for technology, it involves taking a gene that doesn't belong in a bacteria and putting it in. It can also be done with plants, so you can make new crops. However, you might think that it's a very complicated system, and it is. With top-down synthesis, we're essentially hoping that everything goes just right, and maybe it will, but under certain conditions, it could crosstalk with other genes and go wildly out of whack. And you do not want that to happen inside of a human body if you're
I mean, Astral Storm. That's you. Yes, that's another option.
using that microbe as a treatment. By the way, for the large part, phages have been used for gene editing in humans when we're talking medical treatment, but there are other applications, particularly with biohybrids. Aside the point, if you are just engineering one gene, you are not fully aware of all the circumstances in which that gene could be active or what it might introduce that could interact with other genes. This is why it's probably better, if you are going to use synthetic biology, to work bottom up rather than top down. Meaning you assemble the genome, you know everything that's there, and hopefully you understand it well. Minimal genome, by the way, is a field that I've worked in with microbes, trying to figure out the smallest possible genome you need to be alive, which goes into making synthetic life. We as humanity first built Mycoplasma laboratorium, the very first synthetic bacteria, and since then we've built yeast. Yes, synthetic eukaryotes like ourselves. I don't know how to say this, but building a eukaryote is alarmingly complicated. We're talking about many orders of magnitude more complex than a bacteria, but yes, it can be done. And of course, there is an international effort to make a synthetic human genome. So this would be every gene that a human would need to, be a human put into a cell, grown in a lab. And this is not for cloning people, although it probably is possible. This is to understand our genome and solve the problems that we have in synthetic biology. If we can build a human genome from the ground up, that means that we can understand every single gene, how it interacts with each other. It would make an unprecedented study of what exactly
Unprecedented.
our genes are doing, which are not entirely understood. This is a massive leap forward, and of course we are not there yet. Now, the other reason why it is important to do this is because we're also making biohybrids now. So electronics that interact with bacteria or other organisms, often used in medicine. Of course, it could be used in industry because it turns out borrowing these sensors from a body, like a sense of smell from a moth, as it would turn out, is actually pretty efficient for robotics. If we are to make electronics that hybridize with biotic stuff, it's going to be a lot easier to engineer the
What up, Textilian?
biology to do so, rather than just trying to hijack it. And hijacking is fine and good, but there's more efficient ways. Think the tiny lab-grown brains, except they are engineered to do just computation. It's going to be quite a bit more efficient, I hope. If I could impart some knowledge, yes, I understand this sounds really spooky because it's also really new. We're not used to it. I mean, I'm pretty sure if someone gave you the concept of factory farming, it would have been horrifying a few hundred years ago. It is still
Ah!
horrifying now,
Okay, okay.
but we all kind of exist alongside it. I mean, the idea of
Yeah, we exist alongside the horror.
taking fungal byproducts to treat infections is a little bit spooky too. This
Oh, we've got that Astral Storm. Have you seen the mycelium that drives a robot around? They shine a UV light on it, and it like moves the robot to escape from the UV light. It's neat.
is an up and coming field. There's a lot of good that has been done and will be done. I mean, insulin is now made by E. coli who have genes to produce insulin, so a lot of it has already existed. I don't know if I am or am not the right person to say that it's looking pretty optimistic right now. If there is a problem, I will let you know, but nothing to worry about for now. When the robots rebel, I will tell you about it. Follow for more.
New rational animations. Should we pause AI? Not could we. That's an entire other question. Just should we?
You might have noticed we've been making a lot of videos about the future of AI. Like this one, and even these ones, which are secretly just allegories for ideas from AI safety research. We've
Distinctly possible, Astral Storm.
been focusing so much on AI because we think it could become a uniquely powerful technology, capable of radically transforming civilization. We also worry that if AI development goes wrong, the creation of misaligned superintelligent machines could lead to human extinction. If AI will be as important as we suspect, what should society do to reduce the odds of catastrophe? What laws should be enacted? What should world leaders be saying? What decisions should the CEOs of AI labs be making? Well, these are pretty hard questions, and the answers aren't obvious. At least, they aren't obvious to us. If scientific experts are worried that future AI with terrifying godlike intelligence might destroy civilization, one pretty obvious-seeming approach would be, maybe just don't build an AI with terrifying godlike intelligence. Just make helpful, normal AI tools, like the ones that exist today, and then just stop before you risk creating a nightmare superintelligence that
Because that's what we're good at. We're good at stop, right? Human beings, notoriously good at stop, right?
takes over the world. Various people think along these lines, and perhaps the loudest among them is the activist group Pause AI. Their main ask is to, quote, implement a temporary pause on the training of the most powerful general AI systems until we know how to build them safely and keep them under democratic control, end quote. They hope
But what kind of democratic control? Oh, it sounds good. What up, Cosmic? Marmalade Wizard is currently sleeping on the couch and not occupying their position on the stream, so. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't have to stop, Elrod. We haven't gotten to a pause yet.
to achieve this mainly by asking for strong international regulations on AI, although they've also led protests aimed at companies like Meta and OpenAI, urging them to halt development of new cutting-edge AI models. Until our AI alignment techniques are strong enough to ensure AI will share humanity's values, Pause AI says that deploying bigger models is irresponsible. But this basic strategy, avoiding catastrophe by just not building catastrophically powerful AI, is fiercely debated, even among AI safety researchers. Let's explore why.
Please.
AI risk is hard to agree on. First, let's say you're trying to convince the world to stop development of the next generation of AI models. Step one is to convince people that the risks to society outweigh the potential benefits. But people disagree wildly about the nature and severity of AI risk.
People disagree significantly about the capabilities of AI. That is an aspect of this, right? If you don't believe that the AI can actually do any of the things that these people are claiming that it can do, right? You know, it can't code, the agents don't work, nothing works, nothing to worry about, right? If none of it works, you have nothing to worry about. Because we're not just smoking the weed, kids. Yeah. Well, I mean, astral storm, that is definitely a problem, right? What if it works somewhat?
And how soon it might arrive. With a technology
That's kind of the time that I'm on, Elron. That it wants us to survive too.
like nuclear weapons, everyone can understand the threat just by looking at the mushroom cloud. But artificial superintelligence hasn't been built yet, so the danger feels hypothetical and uncertain. It's like when scientists tried to warn about the possibility of nuclear war before anyone had built a bomb, just by talking about the atomic properties of radioactive materials. Right now, Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei expects that AI might surpass humans at software programming before 2027. Many experts believe similarly that human-level AI could arrive soon, and fear that this achievement might kick off an accelerating feedback loop, where AI-enhanced scientific research helps us build better and better AI, faster and faster, quickly leading us to create dangerous...
It's clear to us, Larry. It's not clear to everyone, and that's part of the problem, right? Like, again, at this point in time, in this particular location, among these particular people, you will go into someone's chat and see someone banging away on their keyboard talking about how the AI doesn't work. It's not real AI. The agents don't work. None of it works. So it's nothing to worry about.
misaligned superintelligence. Once that process starts, it could progress too quickly for us to do much about it. So we're effectively approaching the edge of a cliff, past which we lose control. To prepare for this,
I mean, cliff, maybe. Cliff is one way of looking at it. There are many ways of looking at it. I would also posit that, like, I exist within a system. I don't know about y'all, but I exist within a system controlled by people that I cannot influence. And they, however, have a great deal of influence over my daily life, right? So I already exist in a system that's well outside my control, right? That can and probably does cause a great deal of problems for me and people around me. What's one more?
former OpenAI researcher Leopold Aschenbrenner says we need a crash program to unify the leading AI labs, hugely upgrade their cybersecurity, and focus them on solving the problem of AI alignment. But not every...
My man wants to nationalize the AI labs and do that under a government of dubious public interest?
Everyone is convinced that
What up, Ribbons?
superintelligence is right around the corner. Economists like Tyler Cowen predict that AI's impact on society will lift economic growth by merely 0.5%.
I mean, yes, Elron. There was, I don't know how serious it was, right? But I know the story that there was some segment of scientists who believed that when we detonated the nuclear weapon, there was the distinct possibility that it would ignite the entire atmosphere and kill us all. Not the one that we dropped on another country, the one we were testing. We're pretty sure we're not all going to die, right? Push that button.
A year, as tools only a bit better than today's chatbots are slowly integrated into fields like healthcare and education. There are further debates about how hard it will be to align or control advanced AI. Some venture capitalists completely reject the idea that AI could ever pose an existential risk to humanity.
Is it Mark Andreessen?
Seeing AI as merely a tool for humans to use. But lots of AI
I mean, Astral Storm, I don't believe it, but one of the theories that I like to play around with is that there was a weasel in the Large Hadron Collider, right? The that LHC weasel incident, right? April 29th, 2016. And either this weasel is responsible for preventing something terrible from happening or cause something terrible to happen. And that's why we're in the timeline we're in. Also, I would like to note that David Bowie died on January 10th, 2016, and then the Weasel incident happened in April 29th, 2016, right? So David Bowie, maybe, the alien that he is, put a weasel in the LHC to prevent something terrible from happening.
experts warn that smarter than human AI would be much harder
I mean, some people believe that you can just go into a foreign country and take their oil without fear of retribution
to align than today's chatbots. We've made videos about a few of the ways that AI could end up with misaligned goals, which could ultimately lead to deceptive, power-seeking behavior. But there's still a lot we don't know
There can always be a worse timeline, Textillion.
about the severity of those problems and how hard it'll be to solve them. Disagreements over these issues probably won't get resolved anytime soon. People tend not to change their minds until the evidence is totally overwhelming, and we probably won't get overwhelming evidence of a problem until it's already happening. That'll make it hard for society to collectively identify the moment when we're on the cusp of creating dangerously powerful AI and take coordinated action. In fact, it's unlikely we'll even get consensus on the location of the cliff's edge until we've already fallen off it.
Correct.
At which point it's too late to do much about it. Unfortunately, it will be very tempting to try to tiptoe right up to that edge. As AI gets smarter, it will get more useful for discovering new medicine.
I find it highly unlikely that we're tiptoeing at anything. We're going to run full speed. We're gonna fucking, what's that movie? Thelma and Louise. We're gonna Thelma and Louise the AI cliff.
Automating difficult tasks and making myriad other improvements to society. Things might just get better and better until AI becomes powerful enough to escape human control, and things suddenly get much worse. Pause AI says that, considering the dire consequences of waiting until it's too late, we should err on the side of caution.
Yeah, but you're talking about the idea of rational people existing without self-interest being their primary motivator.
By pausing the biggest AI training runs right now. Arms races and adverse selection. The idea of pausing AI development gets a good amount of support in surveys of the public, but it's definitely unpopular among the companies developing frontier models.
And the public doesn't even know what they're talking about, right? This is part of the problem. You have 30 some odd % of people who can think a particular individual is doing a really good job in spite of all evidence to the contrary. So, what up, humanity?
Who are expecting to make big profits from creating ever more powerful AIs.
And also those assholes.
But
what up, Pharaoh?
Even if the CEO of a leading lab was persuaded to stop developing larger AI models, it might not change the big picture. That's because other competing labs might see a competitor pausing as a golden opportunity to race ahead and seize the lead.
And because AI is a national security issue, any American lawmaker who comes out as, being in favor of pausing AI is going to come across as, anti-America, pro-China, I don't know, what all the other things they say about Bernie Sanders, for instance.
Now the situation is even worse than before. If the most responsible companies all refrain from developing dangerously powerful AI, then dangerously powerful AI will still be created, just a little bit later, by another company that's less cautious about the risk of catastrophe. But we can solve this, right? Most of the world's top AI labs are in the United States. Couldn't the USA just pass some laws to set strict standards for AI safety?
We could do that.
Could stop the arms race between competing companies, so we could take our time learning how to make AI controllable, interpretable, and aligned to human values before we ever built anything dangerous. Mission accomplished. Well, maybe, but this approach might just recreate the same problem on a...
Probably Singapore, actually. Astral Storm. Singapore has a tremendous... Or the Middle East, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Sanders is maybe the only prominent progressive I've seen who focuses his AI criticism on people's quality of life. Never seen him regurgitate the reactionary stuff. No, it's absolutely fair. There it is. There it is. Look, everybody. There's the link to the Just Smoke the Weed Kids t-shirt. So you can have one just like me. Yeah, because that's... I don't know where Bernie Sanders falls on, the reactionary AI chart. What I do know is that he understands messaging, and the argument that's going to resonate with people broadly is going to be human quality of life under capitalism with AI doing all the jobs. So it's a good argument to make.
Global scale. If the USA slowed frontier AI development, eventually labs in other countries would catch up.
True.
And just like before, you'd have problems with adverse selection. The most reckless nations with the fewest safety regulations might take the lead. A global moratorium? Ultimately, if you want to stop the world from racing headlong towards creating dangerous superintelligence, you'll need to do more than convince one company, or even an entire country. You'll need an international consensus that brings together every major nation. But it's hard for rival nations to cooperate, especially in situations like this, where a country that races to deploy advanced AI might be rewarded with a long-term economic and military advantage. Imagine that you're a national leader, and you've signed an international agreement to stop developing potentially dangerous larger frontier models. But you're very worried that a rival superpower is breaking the deal, secretly continuing to scale AI capabilities and using it to design elaborate cyber attacks, swarms of unmanned fighter jets, and sophisticated bioweapons. You might feel intense pressure to break the deal yourself and join the arms race just to stay competitive. For this reason, some have argued that cooperation between rival superpowers is impossible, that Western nations should therefore embrace the arms race in order to stay ahead, even if it means rolling the dice on AI risk. Nevertheless, organizations including Pause AI and MIRI, the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, advocate for exactly this kind of global cooperation to prevent the development of artificial superintelligence. In an influential Time magazine letter,
and when talking about this kind of thing, people talk about like the various nuclear arms treaties that we've had, some of which were very successful, very helpful, etc. But again, that was only after we detonated multiple nuclear... You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. Pharaoh, 1 month away from 1 year. I appreciate you, home. If you're on that habit, then so is Chef. And so are others, I assume. I appreciate everyone who actually has the idea that you have a 30 streak makes me feel good. The regulars. Again, though, like those treaties come after we detonated numerous nuclear weapons above ground, below ground, in the air, over islands, fucking up all sorts of people's lives. And we dropped 2 of them on, perfectly nice people who were caught up in, the war between governments. And only then did we start thinking about treaties. And only then, when do we actually get the first nuclear weapons, the test ban treaty? When was the test ban treaty? Do. 1963. 1963. So in 1945, nuked 2 cities. In 1963, test ban. So yeah, we'll get right on that. No, there's actually less. There was a peak. Yeah. Now, part of the reason why it's gone down is because you made it smaller. Part of the reason it's gone down is one of the reasons anyway is because when they're more effective, you don't need as many of them. But this is crazy, right? This is wild. This is what, 68,000 warheads? But now we're back down to around 10,000, 11,000. But yeah, I'm sure we would make it real easy to do an AI pause global treaty.
MIRI co-founder Eliezer Yudkowsky argued that once world leaders understand the terrible consequences of misaligned superintelligence.
Yeah, and it was actually, that was the worst lesson to teach the world, Larry, is you will never again see a country voluntarily give up its nuclear weapons, right? No, there's all sorts of questions. But you will never have another country voluntarily give up its nuclear weapons because the agreements are worthless, but nuclear weapons are effective, right? If you have nuclear weapons, you tend not to get invaded.
If anyone builds it, everyone dies. They'll realize that it makes no sense to race. Instead, it will be in each country's interest to work together to prevent disaster.
Keck W.
It's similar to the idea underpinning nuclear non-proliferation treaties. Humanity realized that letting
We already covered this. I did not pre-watch.
every country race to acquire nuclear weapons would
And according to this cartoon, they already have nuclear weapons in Greenland.
eventually end in catastrophe. So we instead decided to cooperate to safeguard civilization. But even if humanity agreed on a global superintelligence moratorium, that policy probably couldn't keep working forever. Each year, as technical knowledge spreads about how to build AI, and as computing hardware gets faster and cheaper, the ingredients for creating superintelligence will become more common. To keep enforcing the moratorium would demand increasingly severe restrictions over time. Even if we thought it was acceptable to have stricter and stricter measures ramping up for decades, eventually they would fail. Whether it's a rogue nation or a small team of renegade researchers, Eventually, somebody would probably figure out how to sneak around the ban and develop superintelligent AI without getting caught. Yet again, we face the problem of adverse selection. Whoever finally manages to deploy superintelligent AI is probably more reckless than all the people complying with the moratorium. Worse yet, since they'd be working in secret, they'd be unable to ask for any outside feedback about flaws in their AI designs, even if they wanted to. Eventually, we have to solve alignment. All right, let's take a step back.
Eventually.
The basic idea of avoiding doom by not building the doom machine turns out to be a lot harder than it sounds. If it's possible to build superintelligent AI, somebody will eventually do it. Our real task is to ensure that when this happens, the resulting AI is aligned with human values. Advocates of a pause, of course.
And then we start having to talk about, what do you mean by human values? Which humans, which values?
Recognize this. Their goal isn't to prevent the technology from ever happening. Instead, by advocating for slower, more careful AI development, they hope to buy time for researchers to develop stronger techniques for creating safer AI. If humanity accidentally builds a misaligned superintelligence, we probably won't get the chance to try again, so we'd better make sure we get it right the first time. The importance of this technical work is also why, here at Rational Animations, we've been focusing so much on exploring the AI alignment problem. Spreading knowledge about technical obstacles like specification gaming and goal misgeneralization seems robustly helpful. These problems need to be solved, regardless of what laws get passed or what different countries choose to do. They're on the critical path for navigating to a thriving future. What else can society do to prepare? But in addition to technical AI safety research, there are a couple of other actions that seem likely to be useful, whatever you think about pausing. One of them is model evaluations, or evals. Many people say that humanity should keep a close eye on AI's evolving capabilities by rigorously evaluating newly developed models.
Saw a thing today that emergent capabilities of AI are a mirage, says one person. A bunch of people are going to grab onto that, and that will be their thing as to why we don't actually have to do anything. Everything's fine.
If your latest AI turns out to have a surprising talent for finding zero-day exploits in software used by hospitals and nuclear power plants, that's the kind of thing you'd want to know before putting the finished model up on the internet for anyone to use. For that reason, labs like Anthropic and Google DeepMind have already made third-party evaluations an important part of their AI safety policies. And beyond simply preventing misuse, closely studying AI's abilities could help solve a problem we mentioned earlier, the fact that AI risk is so hard to agree on. Model evaluations could demonstrate very strong forms of misalignment, or unearth incredibly dangerous skills like bioweapons design. This early warning might spur AI labs and governments to take valuable actions that otherwise wouldn't have happened until a real-world disaster occurred. Another measure that seems at least as robust as evals is to upgrade the cybersecurity of leading AI companies.
Keck W. Where are my cybersecurity people at? Where are my cybersecurity people at? It's so easy, right? To get your company to spend more money on cybersecurity. I mean, things that you can demonstrate are an actual problem and they should address right away. Super easy to get them to spend money on that, right?
Suppose a frontier AI company has some lead over its competitors, and it wants to take some time to make its most advanced models safer. That doesn't do much good if...
Yeah, cybersecurity is a money pit. You just throw money into it, and it doesn't give you a better UI or a customer experience or generate more profits or anything else.
While it's doing that, its model is immediately stolen by less careful competitors, or even rogue nations or terrorist groups.
Oh, I stopped worrying about bioweapons when I learned about homemade chemical weapons. You know, I mean, there's so much shit in the natural world that can wipe us all out. Duncan, what up, dude? I'm thinking of selling sticks of RAM out of the back of my 12-year-old Prius. Like you should hold on to it, because in the future it will be bottle caps, right? Like in Fallout, but it'll be RAM. We're gonna sell sticks of RAM. I remember there was a point where RAM was so cheap that they were selling RAM as keychains, which is neat.
Groups. Or for that matter, what if the AI itself hacks out of the data center it's hosted on, replicating via the internet while scheming up plans to gain more resources? Without cybersecurity measures that you can trust, slowing down might not do much good. We can try to prevent these scenarios by upgrading the cybersecurity of top labs to an extreme level. Think top secret military projects rather than a typical startup. What can you do?
Nothing. I mean, you can protest and write your congressperson and all the other things that they're going to tell you. But
So what can you do about all this? Cybersecurity and capability evaluations are just two of the many, many ideas that are being debated and refined through research, public discussion, and the efforts of top labs themselves. Developing superintelligent AI might be the most consequential moment in human history, but nobody yet has a good plan for making sure it goes right. Certainly, we don't have all the answers here at the YouTube channel Rational Animations. AI is moving so fast that there's a good chance the strategic situation has changed just in the time it took us to make this video. But one thing we do feel confident about is that more people should understand the emerging debates about how society should navigate AI development.
And again, before we can get to talking about the emerging debates on AI development, we have to get people, generally a majority, I would say, to agree that they're actually happening, right? And as soon as we can agree that they are actually happening, then we can start talking about the debates on AI safety and how to do it. I'm sure we're right around the corner from that.
If people like you have a deeper understanding of these issues, then society can have a more sophisticated conversation about them.
That's us, chat.
If you're interested to learn more and try to help, our top recommendation is for viewers to take the AI safety courses by Blue Dot Impact at AISafetyFundamentals.com. The courses consist of a selection of readings curated by experts in AI safety. They're totally free, and you can just read through them at your own pace. There's also a live version run remotely, where you have weekly calls with a facilitator and others doing the course. Plenty of Blue Dot alumni have gone on to work full-time in AI safety, so it's a great place to start.
Up next, we're going to talk about Dropbox.
In the 2000s, Dropbox was everywhere. It was the cloud solution before Google Drive, OneDrive, and pretty much anything else. It was the default. But now
Nobody likes OneDrive. I'm not prone to hyperbolic language, but I have never heard anyone say that they like OneDrive.
no one uses it. Numbers are stalling, and the company just did something.
Okay, numbers stalling is not no one is using it, dude. Again, hyperbolic language, right? 2.5 billion people using Dropbox. Stalling is just an issue of capitalism and its ever growth model, right? Like, stalling at 2.5 billion. Like, I'm not sure how many people are paying for Dropbox. It's a whole other animal.
That signals the death of Dropbox. If Dropbox was first, why aren't they dominating like Google? Is Dropbox about to die?
What up, Andy? I still have my Dropbox. I have some files that are in Dropbox. Primarily, I find it easier to share stuff from Dropbox in a way that's convenient. Certain things, and then I have Google Drive. Absolutely.
The late 2000s were a mess for anyone working with digital files. Everyone's workflow was pure chaos. You had physical USB drives or external hard drives, which
OneDrive should make sense, right? Like, there should be a process where it walks you through setting up Dropbox as opposed to just defaulting to the things that it does, right? Straight garbage.
if you unplug the wrong way, would get lost or corrupted. In a box somewhere, I have multiple external hard drives that I no longer use. Plus, you had to email massive attachments just to share a document. The simple act of moving a file from your desktop to your laptop was a multi-step nightmare, and the technology was there, but the seamless experience was missing. This created a massive, unspoken need for a new way to handle digital storage. A new business model was begging to be created. Enter Dropbox. Instead of asking users to constantly buy expensive new physical hard drives, what if a company could offer storage to them as a simple, affordable service? By owning vast amounts of storage, the company could benefit from economies of scale, where costs get spread over more servers and storage space. The more you own, the cheaper each gigabyte. Thus, Dropbox was born, a mass cloud storage solution for consumers. It immediately solved the chaos problem. All your files were in one place and organized, and it was platform agnostic. It worked identically whether you were on a Mac or a Windows PC or later your phone. This is the standard today, but in 2007, this was unheard of. Dropbox was set up to disrupt the
Right, and woe be unto you, Pharaoh, if you go to remove access from Dropbox for one of your file locations. It's like, oh, you don't want that anymore, and fucking just nukes everything in sight. It's terrible.
whole industry, and then they showed their first demo.
Okay, my name's Drew, and I'll be showing you a quick tour of Dropbox, which is a new way to store and share files online.
This seems like a normal conference demo, but signups for Dropbox exploded. Soon, Dropbox wasn't just a product, but the default expectation for cloud storage. By 2013, Dropbox was worth $4 billion. Everything was going great. The company was defining the cloud. But in the 2010s, the first signs of trouble began to appear. Other tech giants had noticed the trend and decided to enter the race. In 2011, Apple announced iCloud. But Apple didn't position iCloud as a separate app you had to download. They made cloud storage a built-in default expectation. It was tied directly to iOS and Mac devices, and they included free storage. It was part of the ecosystem, and it was free, at least the first 5 gigabytes. This changed everything. Then it got worse, because Google jumped in with Google Drive. To make it even worse, they immediately offered users a massive 15 gigabytes of free storage, shared across Drive, Gmail, and Photos.
And then if you sign up for like Gemini, right, with their $20 a month plan, or through Verizon, you can get it for 10. You get 2 terabytes of storage.
Microsoft followed suit, positioning OneDrive as a core feature of Microsoft 365 plans, also with free tiers. Alternatives to Dropbox began.
For like, if you just go and sign up for Gemini, it's $20 a month. If you do it through Verizon, if you have Verizon as a cell service provider, you can get through them for $10. $10 a month.
Began to appear everywhere. Dropbox's core feature was no longer unique, and that viral adoption began to stagnate. Dropbox saw the writing on the wall. They were still growing, but that would stop pretty soon. The market was saturating. The easy growth phase was completely over. They were a smaller player in a space dominated by trillion-dollar platforms. If they wanted to survive, they needed to evolve. But how? Let's take a step back.
Yeah, 2 terabytes. 2 terabytes is correct. I started to question with what you said, Astral Storm, is like, is it actually? But yeah, I'm currently using 273.32 gigabytes of 2 terabyte storage on fucking. I already have more disk space than I know what to do with, except on my computer, because I never seem to have enough. No matter how big my hard drive is on the computer, I never have enough to do all the things I want to do.
We have to understand the fundamental reason why Dropbox ended up in this position. The simple truth is that online storage quickly became a commodity. There was very little to differentiate one cloud storage provider from another beyond price, like oil or sugar or rice. Sure, there are minor differences in security, performance, or integration into other systems, but those were benefiting Dropbox's competitors. Not to mention, the massive tech giants could offer the same thing for far cheaper than Dropbox ever could while still making money. The entire game shifted.
What up, Serotonin? Yes. I mean, technically, no, because this is a beard, but not the beard that you've come to know and love.
To whoever could house the most data and achieve the best economies of scale. However, there was a critical difference. Unlike Dropbox, the big tech giants like Microsoft and Google aren't even trying to make money from storage itself.
It's beard zero.
They can sell it cheaper because they aren't selling storage at all. Storage is a loss leader for them. A loss leader is a product companies will price cheap and either make very little money on or none at all, but it gets them in the door and that's the goal. Google will lure you in with the free 15 gigabytes and gradually convince you to sign up to a plan. For example, their current Gemini plan, which offers, frankly, a stupid amount of storage space. In the Microsoft 365 subscription, you get 1 terabyte of storage, but as a small part of a larger expensive plan. Storage is a small part of a bigger money-making machine, and this is Dropbox's problem. They had no such cross-subsidy. Storage was their product, whereas for their competitors, storage is just a footnote.
The 30 terabytes? That must just be a Google Drive plan. Because I believe, anyways, that if you Gemini Ultra is $200 a month if you got it like that.
Dropbox even admitted this to their investors. Some of these competitors have inherent advantages developing products and services that more tightly integrate with their software and hardware platforms or those of their business partners. Dropbox had no choice but to pivot. They had to offer something else because they simply couldn't compete on price with companies that offered storage for basically free. They needed to evolve beyond simple file synchronization. So Dropbox introduced Dropbox Paper around 2015 as a collaborative document editor. They hoped it would be an alternative to Google Docs or Office 365, and initially, Paper showed real promise. It was sleek and had less friction than Google Docs for team writing. But there was a problem. Insiders say the founders failed to see the potential of Paper and didn't invest aggressively in it. Dropbox positioned Paper as a simple note-taking tool like Evernote instead of a true productivity suite competitor.
I fucking hated Evernote. I so wanted to like it, and it just irritated the shit out of me.
They missed the chance to turn it into something like Notion, Docs, Office, or a core workplace platform. Paper's adoption never came close to the scale of their original storage product. To be clear, there was a demand for a clean, fast, and reliable document editor. But other platforms like Notion and Obsidian jumped on this and added modern features that left Paper looking irrelevant. So Dropbox tried another response, by workflow, not storage. They acquired HelloSign for $230 million to move into document workflows and e-signatures. A smart move. If storage is a commodity, sell the services that happen around the files. They also acquired the email client Mailbox in 2013 for $100 million and the photo management app Carousel in 2014. These had a lot of users and some real potential for a massive Dropbox ecosystem, but both of these services were later shut down entirely, frustrating the users who had actually grown to love those services. Dropbox was trying to build an ecosystem, but consistently failed. Why? Dropbox Paper, HelloSign, Showcase, and other integrations never achieved the ubiquity of Google's G Suite or Microsoft 365. These platforms have horizontal integration. Apps connect and synergize with each other easily. Dropbox tried to expand horizontally, but didn't commit to a giant ecosystem. They couldn't convince
Every so often, I think about Google Plus, and people trying to get their invite to Google Plus, and it was like walking into an abandoned building. Hello? Anybody here?
users to adopt Dropbox as their all-in-one work hub because it wasn't well integrated. Many simply kept using Dropbox for file sync while using Google or Microsoft for everything else, and slowly they also used either of those for storage too. They failed to achieve the horizontal
What up, Ben?
integration of their competitors, and this was because of a much bigger problem, a mistake Dropbox made which would cost them dearly.
Yeah, no, I saw some potential in what they had, but it required a level of commitment that they didn't have, right? They just didn't execute on what Google Plus could have been. And you could almost tell that right away, right? Like that this was, they were dipping a toe in the water as opposed to like jumping in.
Over the past 8 years, we've posted 1,100 videos, yet we still haven't crossed 1 million subscribers. We are close though, and I believe 2026 is the year, and if you subscribe right now, we can actually make that a reality. Dropbox was in the consumer space, but they were facing a choice: go consumer or go enterprise.
Of course.
Their competitors were making the bulk of their revenue from selling business to business. While some companies will use a mix of independent tools, many will opt for an ecosystem where everything is integrated, especially the bigger companies. Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook, all one ecosystem designed for businesses, schools, or government agencies. Dropbox, however, despite spending millions on acquisitions and new ventures, was hesitant to pivot fully to enterprise. Why? Turns out there was another competitor to Dropbox, simply called Box. If you've never heard of this brand, I don't blame you. This was another file-sharing competitor, Box, but it was doubling down on enterprise features and a deep
Very cool, Parkours. Very cool.
integrations. They were going all in on it, and soon enough, 95% of Box's revenue was from enterprise. But Dropbox was hesitant.
That's not what surprises me, Parkours, and not necessarily from you. It's that you continued to like it after you found out it was AI. That the fact that it was AI did not matter to you, right? You went with your gut of, I like this, doesn't matter where it came from.
Dropbox's team did not go the enterprise way because they did not want to become Box. They were first and foremost a consumer product, and leaning into enterprise would mean going all in. You needed big, expensive sales teams. Sales cycles would change to 6-month-long.
Right. Silver Sun Pickups. I like one song by Silver Sun Pickups. The song that I like, I love the shit out of. I played it hundreds of times, sometimes multiple times in a row.
Cycles, or sometimes even longer. You had to design custom
Well, the good ones fool you into thinking that they're not, Ben. That's the key. This chat is actually entirely AI, and it all serves to feed my need for attention.
functions for each big client. The focus went away from a clean, unified UX to granular fixes,
That's the one, Femvox fan. That's the one.
permissions, complex admin consoles. They didn't think they could provide a good user experience if they focused on enterprise. It's a fair choice to focus on consumer, but Dropbox dragged its feet and went with neither. No enterprise solutions, yet a poorly created horizontal ecosystem. In hindsight, this was a massive strategic miss. While Dropbox stayed consumer-centric, Microsoft and Google swept up corporate clients with their full, deeply integrated productivity suites. So, is Dropbox dying now? Well, let's look at the numbers. From 2020 to
We have the
2024,
port.
Dropbox
Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
Yo, it's the homie Telorks and their collection of cultists.
annual revenue inched up
Hey,
from
stop. Shout out Telorks. What up, Raiders? What up, Iggy? What up, Holiday? What up, Telorks, the man himself? I'm Global CL there. I talk about AI, automation, robots, and future tech. We're having a wonderful time. Come on in. Set yourself down. We're currently watching a video about Dropbox.
about 2 billion to 2.5 billion. That's only about 4.5% yearly growth, but they
Okay, so 4.5% yearly growth is above the 3% that capitalists supposedly aim for. What up, Reed? So, like, good? Yes?
are still growing, right? Well, not exactly. They grew by squeezing more money out of customers they already had.
Also capitalism.
For 3 years straight, the number of paying users stayed absolutely flat, stuck between 17 and 18 million people. Paying users had completely flatlined by 2023, and this is a really bad sign because it shows us that Dropbox is experiencing virtually zero growth, and
Right, because they have a loyal fan base who are willing to pay them for the service and even willing to pay more for the service to continue to use it. Under any kind of rational system, yes, it's reached a saturation point, right? But they are there. The company is going to continue to be able to generate income and therefore pay a bunch of people who work at Dropbox. They're going to continue to provide a service, which there's a great number of people. What is this? Dropbox paying users. So about 17 million people. 17 million people pay to use Dropbox. So 17 million is a lot of fucking people.
they know it. Now, Dropbox is moving into what is known as a harvest strategy, and this might be the
Oh, that sounds bad. And this might be the biggest sign of their inevitable death.
biggest sign of their inevitable death. Instead of investing in bold new products or taking big swings, they're buying back their own stock. Since 2020, they've spent nearly $4 billion on share repurchases. In late 2024 alone,
Which means they had $4 billion to spend, right? And they bought their own stock with it. Baby, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe. I haven't figured out what the problem is. Thank you for the follow. Sorry. I haven't figured out what the problem is with the routing. Hold on. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing tech support. Sorry, I have zero time. I had zero time to sit down at my computer. I did so many other things in between the last time and now. I will fix it. I'm just saying that I'm going to tell you that a bunch of the alerts are probably not going to work the way that they ought to.
they borrowed $2 billion and went into debt just to buy back more shares.
They borrowed $2 billion. Oh. As of this writing, Dropbox has a market cap of $7.5 billion and is trading at about $25 per share. Jesus Christ.
Why? Well, they boost earnings per share, which looks good on paper. Sometimes a company does this if they're confident about growth, but not Dropbox. This move sends a clear message. They don't see better places to invest this money. They don't see big growth opportunities ahead, so they are returning money to invest.
Well, the thing about that, Astral Storm, is you have to construct a mailing list, right? Not an email list, a mailing list, a physical mail list where you send mail through the U.S. Postal Service to other people that have that conversation. Because if you put it into chat or you discuss it online, then the AI overlord Palantir system is going to find out where that forest is and bulldoze it.
Dropbox's leadership has essentially admitted their market is tapped out. The growth phase is over. So instead of chasing expansion, they're returning cash to shareholders and essentially shrinking the company. This is a harvest strategy. You stop planting seeds for the future, you stop betting on growth. Instead, you squeeze every last drop of profit from what you've already built while it lasts. Dropbox isn't trying to become the next big thing anymore. They have paying users, and they're just trying to stay profitable while the market slowly moves on. In business, there are only two ways to win: to be the cheapest or to be different. Dropbox couldn't be the cheapest. I mean, how could they? They were competing against trillion-dollar giants.
I'm down for carrier pigeons, right?
Giving storage away for free. So they had to be different. They had to offer something unique, but they fumbled the paper, they missed the enterprise market, and they hesitated on new markets when they should have gone all in. Dropbox is still alive, still profitable even. Is it a bad service? I don't think so. But it's one the market isn't welcoming towards, and now they're just surviving. They're a mature company stuck in a world that demands explosive growth, a world that's already moved on from Dropbox. At least Dropbox didn't get caught up with the whole AI hype, which many companies are now paying for big time. Check out this video to learn more, but until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Our drones. Up next, new Wes Roth. We just arrived at the WTF moment in AI, which sounds bad.
Welcome to the year 2026. We are entering the part of AI development that's basically this. Let me zoom in. This green line, that's a dumb human. This yellow line, that's Einstein, right? So basically, we're currently witnessing AI's ability kind of going across this line, and we're kind of slowly going from, oh, that's cute, that's adorable, to WTF. So you've probably seen announcements around this. Basically, there's this very well-known mathematician. His name is Paul Erdős, I believe is the pronunciation, and basically has a collection of open math problems referred to as the Erdős problems. And he describes these problems as these acorns, which require deep and subtle insights from which a mighty oak can develop. So it's basically very difficult problems that have not been solved up to this point. They have not been solved by humans. That is the Erdős problems. And currently there are 1,135 problems in the database, and 40% of them have been solved. But here's what's happening right now, like literally right now, within the last few days, AI autonomously solved one of these problems. And within the last few hours, it solved yet another one. Now, you've probably seen a lot of announcements like this recently. Some of them seem like they're controversial. Some of them turn out to be wrong or overstated. So I know a lot of us kind of just started ignoring the noise. This one, as of right now, we're fairly confident it's legit. This is Terence Tao, considered by many as one of the greatest mathematicians living today. Currently, he's a professor at UCLA. He's considered to be the Mozart of
Terence Tao is a serious person.
Mathematics. I pulled up some data from Gemini 3, so it sounds like at the age of 2, he was teaching other children how to count using wooden blocks. He learned from Sesame Street, and then at 2 years old was teaching other kids to count. Age 9, taking university-level math courses. Kind of a leap, it seems, and by age of 10, he became the youngest person ever to compete in the International Mathematical Olympiad. It took him a couple of years, but by age 13, he won the IMO gold medal. To this day, he remains the youngest gold medalist in history. So again, credible figure that we can kind of trust. If he thinks this is happening, we can assume, it's happening. I believe there are some reviews still going on, and maybe we'll get some news back later. But at this point, I think it's pretty reasonable to call it. Here's what Terence Tao is saying. He's saying, recently the application of AI tools to Erdish problems passed a milestone. And Erdish problem number 728 was solved more or less autonomously by AI after some feedback from an initial attempt. In the spirit of the problem, as reconstructed by the Erdish problem website community, with the result, to the best of our knowledge, not replicated in existing literature, although similar results proven by similar methods were located. So this is important because not replicated in existing literature. So there were some previous claims that these AI models, ChatGPT, I think, solved some new thing or provided some proof. In reality, just did some research, found some proof online that somebody else has written and kind of reproduced it. This, as far as we can tell, this is the real deal. So it didn't find some previously existing solution elsewhere. It did so in the spirit of the problem. As far as I can tell, if I understand correctly, in the original kind of a phrasing by Erdish, there was some loophole. He didn't phrase it quite in such a way as to close all the loopholes, basically allowing there to be a trivial solution, right? So kind of if you were willing to kind of lawyer your way into it, it's like, oh, well, actually, you forgot to do this. So therefore, this is a basic solution. So assuming that's not the case, assuming that Erdish didn't mean for that simple solution to exist, that cheat code solution, you had to solve it in the proper way, so to speak, this AI did it in that fashion, right? So it didn't use a loophole. And finally, so this is a little bit cut off, but I think this is a very important thing to understand. So Terence Tao is saying this is a demonstration of the genuine increase in capability of these tools in recent months. So that's important to understand. It's recent months. He's not kidding. These are brand new results from fairly brand new models. This is brand new territory that we're entering. This capability is new. That's why I started with that graph of that person kind of being shocked by how quickly those things shot up. By the way, Terence did post his entire post on Mastodon, which is here. I'll have a link down below if you read it. And we'll look at
I guess Mastodon is still a thing.
another part here that I think is interesting. We'll come back to that because he's specifically talking about, as he says, a story which he finds more interesting than the solution itself, which is the emerging AI-powered capability to rapidly write and rewrite expositions of the solution. All right, so January 7th, AI solves problem number 728. So fun times, but wait, there's more. This is Neil Somani, so he's a QR at Citadel, so he's doing a quantitative research at, this large investing trading firm. So again, one of the higher end math guys, if you will. He had some time over the weekend, it seems. So he's saying, weekend win. The proof I submitted to Erdish problem number 397 was accepted by Terence Tao. Again, that's not the same problem we were just talking about. That was a 728. This is a 397. All right. So over the weekend, another problem got cracked and accepted by Terence Tao. So Neil continues, the proof was generated by GPT 5.2 Pro and formalized with Harmonic. Many open problems are sitting there waiting for someone to prompt ChatGPT to solve them. How crazy is that? This seems like it's, not priced in, if you will. I don't think people are fully grasping what this means, right? We all have this ChatGPT or whatever other LLM.
So, just so that everyone understands what we're talking about, right? Like, this is the kind of math that, is there some function, there's a proper way to say this, such that the thing, infinity symbol, right? Like all sorts of symbols and Greek letters and that kind of stuff. That's the kind of math that we're talking about, right? It's not a really hard word problem or anything. This is the serious big boy math.
Chatbot is in front of us, and slowly over time, they're getting a little bit smarter and smarter. And now they're at a point where, like he says here, there's many open problems that we have as humans, right? Those problems that we haven't been able to solve for 50 years. Specifically, the best and brightest people, mathematicians, that weren't able to solve for 50 years. And now if we plug it into that little chatbot that just sat there getting smarter, all of a sudden it can crack those problems. Greg Brockman from OpenAI jumps in saying great work. So Neil's saying that only GPT 5.2.
Yeah, where dude's going at it with the chalk and he's talking about some shit and he's sketching this shit out in the movies.
Pro was able to do it. By the way, a few weeks ago, this is around Christmas time, 2025, this person, I wasn't following this too much, so I apologize if I missed some details. So this is David Budden, and he posted that he believed that he could solve the Navier-Stokes Millennium Prize, meaning that he had a solution to the Navier-Stokes smoothness and existence problem. Marcus Hutter bet $10,000 that David Budden will not solve the Navier-Stokes Millennium problem, right? So that, this is the manifold markets everybody's betting. So a lot of people were saying that this person, David, is suffering from LLM psychosis. So he basically talked to these LLMs long enough to where it convinced him that he found some magical solution and he's kind of like losing it. That was the things that people were suggesting. So I'm not 100% sure.
I remember that. We covered that people thought that he was having LLM psychosis. And it appears, based on what Wes is saying, no, not that.
What's happening with this bet. I mean, the bet was lost, but it seems like he's still working on the problem. So no clue what's happening there. But we did in just a few weeks go from, this man that thinks that an LLM solved some mathematical equation or some math problem. Like, obviously he's crazy, right? That was a few weeks ago, to now where, no, of course it's true. As confirmed by, people at Duke, you are at Citadel, one of the greatest living mathematicians of all time. And, a lot of people in the mathematics community, the Erdish problem community, etc., are all kind of confirming this fact. Yes, recently.
I mean, Astral Storm, isn't that where the real art happens anyway, right? Like, there's a fine line between creating a work of creative genius and falling off the ledge into some kind of terrible thing.
The AIs crossed that threshold. But here's yet another thing that kind of, I think, illustrates where we are. So this is Terrence Tao's GitHub page. He's got a specific section where he talks about the AI contributions to Erdish problems. He's got multiple kind of categories here. So one is AI generated solutions, partial solutions, or negative results for previously open problems, right? So the red is where the LLM produced an incorrect result. It's funny, they're using ChatGPT, the free version here, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Interestingly, AlphaVolve, so that was Google's model, it had a slight improvement to a past construction, right? So it's a partial solution that's an improvement. Notice the dates on this. So this is the end of 2025. ChatGPT 5.2 in, just a few days ago in 2026 had a partial solution to problem number 486. AlphaVolve at the end of 2025 had a, they're calling it a partial solution to problem 507. And actually, this, I believe, was the first Erdish problem solved by, ChatGPT or an LLM. This was at 728. A few days later, we had 729. The one solved by Neil using GPT 5.2 Pro, that was number 397. That's not even in here yet, as far as I can tell. So this hasn't been updated yet. But notice there's like this wave, like this wall that is just, beginning to solve these problems. Yes, some of them are wrong. Some of them are partial solutions, but we're seeing them fully solved in some cases. We have 3 fully solved problems, actually 4 now, right? With the new problem that was solved, if that gets accepted, that would be 4, if I understand correctly. Notice mainly it's ChatGPT 5.2, often 5.2 Pro. That's the one that's really driving a lot of these solutions. And again, note the dates, right? It's November and December 2025 and January 2026. So just the last few months. So GPT 5.2 officially came out in December 11th, 2025. So exactly 30 days ago, it was probably available for research use before that. So I think we can say that's the first model that is able to make a dent in these unproven, unsolved math problems. Then we have kind of another category. So these are fully AI-generated solutions to problems that were thought open, but for which an earlier human solution was found, right? So an LLM solves it, but then later they're like, oh, actually a human solved it previously. So they list the number of them. So this is meaningful, but maybe we don't know if ChatGPT found some information online, found that proof, and then used it, or it was in its data somehow, or it was completely new. Notice here they're asking, is it similar proofs? And in these two cases, yes. So here maybe it was, copied or somehow they used the existing proof to write their own. But this one, it says no. So it seems like it's a completely different approach. And we have a third category. These are AI-generated tools applied to problems previously known to be solved or partially solved. And notice here in some of these cases, using things like alpha proof, for example, we're finding new proofs. So we had an existing one from 1975, but the AI found a new way of doing it. And there are a number of those. So the green circles, it means that it's completely new. And we also have the category number 4, solutions generated by humans in collab with AI. By the way, here, they're only talking about the air dish problems as far as I can tell. We've seen some other examples of people doing work in other fields in math, but not underneath these set of problems. The credited, in that case, I believe it was GPT, maybe not Flash.2 because it was early in the year, but maybe it was one of the...
Like, for a lot of people, because number go down, right? Number of viewers go down. And I get it, right? This is kind of dry. You don't necessarily understand what's going on. This is huge, right? Like, I can't explain how big a deal this is because of the way that, like, math underpins so much of what happens with computing and with AI. This is another component of self-improving AI, right? If it can do the math, perfect. So you appreciate it, right? Like like, what up, walking stick? Yeah, like some of you I know get it, right? You're the ones who are still here. But this is like, yeah, we are. Remember that cliff?
The earlier versions of the...
We're in the fun zone.
Specifically, I'm referring to Scott Aronson's. Here's his post. This was in September of 2025. And so you can read it for yourself because there's some, asterisks there. But here's the important line here. He's saying, this is the first paper I've ever put out for which a key technical step in the proof of the main result...
Well, it already got it, and we can't take it away from it now, Reed.
...came from AI. Specifically from GPT-5 thinking. Okay, so that's yet another example. Then category number 5, problems with AI-powered literature review. And there's a few green circles here as well, as you can see. Quite a bit, actually. And a lot of yellows. 6 is proofs that were formalized by AI. And we have all of these here. And 7, human solutions with some secondary AI tool uses. There was a few here as well. And some other ones. But the point, as I scroll up, notice the dates, right? It's all either beginning of 2026 or very end.
And the other thing is Terrence Tao was one of the people talking just a few months ago about how, like, AI might be able to do some stuff, but it's not going to come for my job kind of thinking, right? And no, my man went, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
2025, here's where a human used some tool use. I mean, we're specifically talking more about like the brand new discoveries, right? All of these, right? AI generated solutions, autonomous solutions. Notice it's all either late November, December 2025, or, the first few weeks of this year, 2026. So this is brand new capabilities. We didn't have this 3 months ago. Briefly coming back to Terrence Howe's post here, as he's saying here, in the beginning, he said that this problem was solved more or less autonomously by AI. But deeper in here, he's talking about, something different. He's saying, but to me, the more interesting capability revealed by these events is the ability to rapidly write and rewrite new versions of a text as needed, even if one was not the original author of the argument. So even if AI wasn't able to autonomously discover new things, just the ability for it to be used kind of like Photoshop for math, I guess. I'm not sure what the exact analogy is, but there's tons of
They were even at the point where you can make that as a possible analogy. It's Photoshop for math. Great, cool.
tools that make it easier for, let's say, you're a photographer or a graphics designer. There's stuff that makes it easier for you to do your job. You're able to create templates and create layers, edit different layers. So if you have an image, you don't have to start each one from scratch. Excel is another good example, right? If you change one formula, a lot of times there's logic that updates how that's reflected throughout the sheet. With a lot of these math papers, if I understand correctly, right, if somebody gives you some feedback about one particular thing that might impact other portions of the paper, the poor professor, the poor mathematician has to completely basically like rewrite everything and update everything. Basically, there's a lot of work that can be automated by LLMs that would be very helpful to mathematicians. Even if it's not generating brand new solutions, it just allows for automation of the mind-numbingly boring, difficult tasks that can be automated. If you never saw the movie Moneyball, it's actually a pretty good movie. Basically, this math
What up, queer sociology?
nerd goes into baseball back in the days when they didn't really use a statistical analysis. They didn't really use advanced calculations to figure stuff out. You just had kind of old school coaches looking at players, seeing how they do, and just kind of going with their gut. And he was able to use kind of the statistics, the math, to see a lot of things that were hidden if you weren't kind of parsing it through with math, if you were just trying kind of to observe it. So there's this idea of being able to quantify stuff, whether that's, athletes or stocks, industries, economies, etc. Math is the underlying kind of foundational level to a lot of the universe. Him coming in, this one person with a computer, some coding skills and some understanding of, statistics, comes in and basically flips the entire sport on its head because he's able to see strategies and make decisions that the other people can't even comprehend. They're just not able to see what he is able to see. And we've seen this happen in a lot of other industries, right? Investments. I actually got kind of curious. The point is, when math comes for certain industries, those industries are transformed, right? Finance is an obvious one, the rise of the quants. Right before the 1970s, trading was dominated by intuition, tips, and fundamental analysis, right? We're studying the company's business model. Now, a lot of that is obviously disrupted because we tend to use math and quantitative analysis, quantitative research to make decisions about the movement of markets. We can create algorithmic trading, etc. Logistics was a big one. There's a lot of people that in the 90s, I think, started using machine learning to try to figure out what are the best routes for delivery vans to get to where they were going with the least amount of time and fuel used. And then the drivers would follow those routes. One of the biggest things that they discovered is you never want to turn left. If you're driving on the right side of the road, you want to take right turns wherever possible. So if you're laying out a route and you can eliminate as many left turns as possible, that route is likely going to be much, much more efficient. Agriculture and precision farming, politics, campaign resource optimization, etc. Dating got turned into an algorithm. Ads, this was a huge one for me because back in the days I used to work doing online ads. You would design pages and test conversion rates, right? You would split test different versions of it. You would buy traffic, buy media from big online sources, put them to your website and see if you can convert them into a sale. And I saw this firsthand because there were people that used to do marketing, for 50 years and they kind of had, I know this stuff. I have a gut feeling about it. And working in that field, I quickly realized that most of the time they had no clue what they were talking about. It was a coin toss. The way to figure out what ads would work or what layout would work, what pricing would work would be to test it on actual customers, because that gave you real statistically relevant results that you could trust that they were going to work moving forward, not just some hunch or guess. So that means that when we take smart people and, we give them some math abilities, right? We teach them some math, we give them, calculators and Excel spreadsheets, computers, whatever, right? They tend to optimize certain industries, disrupt certain industries, figure out how to do stuff better. And of course, understanding of math kind of goes up over time.
I mean, I think that they actually do Astral Storm. They do ask that question, but like they lack the vision to like see the long-term ramifications of what they're doing, right? They have a goal and they're looking, how do I achieve my goal using this tool? And then that's it, right? Nobody, excuse me, in the space thinks about what are the probable unintended consequences of such an action. Yeah, there's a lot of that, walking stick.
Our ability to produce better machines and calculators and computers goes up over time. The number of humans, smart humans, is very limited, but it also tends to go up over time. And so our ability to sort of quant the world sort of has been improving over time, right? Our understanding of math, better technology, etc. Right. So over time, this might have been our ability for
everyone drives
humans
a
to
car.
improve various technology and industries, etc. over time by using math. And here comes AI, specifically these neural nets, and so for a long time.
That's an organic one, Pharaoh. Organically, someone in chat brought up Jevons paradox.
Time, they weren't as good as humans at doing that. You always needed a human in the loop. They might have been useful tools, but they weren't able to autonomously drive research and understanding forward. And then, right about now, in the last few months, it kind of went like this, it seems. I don't know if you say that these models are necessarily better than humans, but we're seeing the beginning of this transition to where these models are at least as good as the world's best mathematicians, maybe are even getting better in some ways. But here's the thing. Here's the kind of big difference, the important thing to grasp about AI. When we compare human mathematicians, researchers versus AI researchers, let's assume they're equal in their abilities, right? We're not even saying AI is better. We're not even looking at that. Let's say they're equal. With AI, we can run 1,000,000 copies. We can't clone a human, just, control C, control V, a bunch of smart researchers. We can with these large language models. There's a cost, electricity, GPUs, etc., but you can infinitely clone them. They work 24/7 without getting tired. They might even work at faster speeds than humans, 10x, 100x, who knows? These machines can read every paper ever written. Like, just imagine if they can just read every paper that was ever written in the field of math, maybe even every blog post or book or anything written by mathematicians. That ability to kind of see the entire playing field and maybe kind of synthesize ideas would be in and of itself a pretty powerful thing. They can, of course, write tons of proofs and modifications, expand all the stuff that we have, like expand how well it's organized and explained. They can write whatever code is needed to run experiments. And all of this comes from just one model, right? So like right now, most of the progress came from GPT 5.2 that we've seen with these air dish problems. So it's not like every single lab has to produce the greatest mathematical model of all time. We just need one, right? You have one, you make 1,000,000 copies.
No, that is a valid question, right? And that's, you need AI to be able to analyze the AI responses.
It runs 24/7 at 10x the speed of a human researcher. It has access to all of the human data. It can create entire libraries of text that it can access and run experiments, etc. So that's something to think about as, let's say, this red line is our AI progress, the abilities of these AI models, right? It's kind of going past the abilities of your average intelligence human. And it's rapidly approaching and in many ways already exceeding that of a high intelligence human, at least in the areas that it's.
Does it have to know Shakespeare? Is the question. Do you have to understand what you're doing in order to do it well? There are many strong arguments that humans have to understand what they're doing in order to do it well, but we're not talking about humans, right? Is there a sufficient level of pattern recognition that you can achieve that can simulate capacity?
Kind of trained for, right? It's getting really good at coding. It's getting really good at math. So as it's doing that, right, there's going to be a lot of industries that are going to be impacted, just like the previous industries that were impacted by quants, just like we talked about. That might mean some scary developments. Think about, for example, that being applied to something like lawsuits. Right.
Astrostorm, I would say that AI is one of those things that we do that we don't understand.
Each lawsuit becomes almost like a stock or an asset that is quantifiable by risk and cost and ROI. I mean, that's kind of scary to think about, right? Maybe there's going to be some firm out there that's utilizing AI just to find the highest reward, lowest risk lawsuits, and then either taking on themselves or just providing that service to the lawyers, right? Hey, here's a basket of cases that have a very high chance of netting you millions with a little work and a low risk of failing, and just selling that data to the lawyers. I mean,
there's always that, right?
that could really mess up the legal system. There's tons of places where it can be much, much better with medicine, for example, the ability to kind of doing that N equals 1 trials and optimizing for each person's unique chemistry based on their blood work and, genome, etc. That could be huge. Right now, we have no idea if our specific metabolism and genetic structure, maybe we shouldn't be eating certain foods or doing certain things that are bad for us, and just a few tweaks might make us a lot healthier and better. But we have no idea. The data is probably out there. There's just no way to kind of sort it and comb it and give it to people in actionable little bites. With infrastructure, it will completely, I think, revolutionize everything. Just think about how we construct things. There's probably a million different ways in which our buildings and designs aren't efficient because we have to have highly paid humans working on them. What if it was very fast and cheap to create efficient designs for homes, for energy grids, for every single part on a car or on a house or anything? What if those designs could be improved? What if your mass could be 15% better and your steering wheel 10% better? What if
it's one of the things that we talked about on numerous occasions about the rise of the PC tower, right? That not only does a PC tower, like, it has been influenced by the PC technology, but everything that goes into it has limitations put on it by the shape of and configuration of the PC tower, right? You can't try something new and interesting because it won't fit inside the case. And if it doesn't fit inside the case, no one's going to use it, right? That's the problem that you run into. Unless you have certain people who run caseless PCs, which is a thing you can do. But that is a restriction that people aren't even, like, generally speaking, thinking about, right? The last time I think it came up was when the new NVIDIA cards came out and people were sticking them in there and the weight of the card was like breaking shit. So they had to build support arms for the GPUs. Like, that was, I think, the first time in a minute that people actually started thinking about the architecture, you know? Yeah, I mean, those folks, right?
every single thing that you see out in the world that's technology that's human made can be made more efficient, more durable with better materials, whatever that means. We just don't have enough sort of cumulative break capacity across the entire world to think deep.
I'm thinking about it, Andy. I'm not going to do it, but yeah, like, as someone who works with epoxy, I have really considered the like wood and then with epoxy over the top, but with a gap in that you could access, like, flip top kind of thing, like a river table, but with a PC underneath it with all the RGB lights shining up through the epoxy. I've thought about it. I'm just not, I'm not putting that outlay of money. But if somebody else wanted to, I could design you a desk-sized case for your computer.
about every single tiny little design decision that people make. These AIs might change that. It might be cheap intelligence for every process that we run. And of course, it will also apply to all of the industries that we've talked about, to finance, to logistics, to ads, and agriculture and baseball, and just everything. So anyways, wild times ahead. We are here, and it's getting interesting. Don't sleep on this. If you made this far, thank you so much for watching. My name is Wes Rock.
What up, Leftist Corp? That's an option. You can do that. All right, somebody we haven't watched in a while, Matt Wolf, just in case there's anything that we missed.
All right, so I'm out here on location at CES in Las Vegas. Tons of cool tech, tons of cool announcements.
4 of us wolves running around the desert together in Las Vegas.
I'm actually gonna make a separate video about all the cool tech that we explored and saw inside of CES.
Oh, hell no, man.
But there was some cool news that happened outside of CES as well.
I had those last year at CES. AI-powered fleshlights. Heat pumps, yeah.
Including Lenovo Kira, including ChatGPT Health, and some fresh drama out of Meta. We're gonna get into all of that right now.
Meeting in the middle of the desert always made me nervous. It's a scary place.
So first up, let's talk about how ChatGPT is going to be your new doctor. I mean, if it isn't already, because I mean, it's mine. So ChatGPT introduced ChatGPT Health this week. So the article here says, today health information is often scattered across portals, apps, wearables, PDFs, and medical notes. So it's hard to see the full picture. You can now securely connect medical records and wellness apps like Apple Health, Function, and MyFitnessPal. So ChatGPT can help you understand recent test results, prepare for appointments with your doctor, get advice on how to approach your diet and workout routine, or understand the trade-offs of different insurance options based on your healthcare patterns. That sounds fun.
Sounds dystopian.
Wait, does that mean they're going to send your health data to insurance companies that are going to use it to decide whether or not to give you coverage?
Yes.
Anyway, so right now this ChatGPT Health feature is in like a beta. You actually have to get on a wait list to use it. They're not making it available for everybody, but if you go to the link in the description, you'll be able to get on the wait list. And apparently this is like a whole new section of ChatGPT. So your normal ChatGPT chats will be in one section, and the health data where you're talking about all the health stuff is in a completely different section of ChatGPT. And next up for our first story from CES, there was a ton of news from NVIDIA. Like Jensen Huang did one of his famous like 2-hour-long keynotes where he just dropped announcement after announcement after announcement. But the stuff that I think you're interested in is this stuff here. So during his keynote, Jensen unveiled Rubin, which is NVIDIA's first extreme co-designed 6-chip.
I mean, you know, I understand that Astral Storm, and sure, right? But literally different strokes for different folks.
AI platform now in full production. They also introduced Alpamio. And this is actually an open reasoning model for vehicles. This is like an open model that companies that are building cars that want AI in them can go and use this model freely.
Hey, look, Homer's got one of those robot cars.
One of those American robot cars.
So there's the Rubin GPUs, and there's these Vera CPUs, and these are all designed to go into what Jensen is calling these AI factories. It seems like he's trying to rebrand data centers into calling them AI factories. So the Rubin GPUs have 50 petaflops of NVF4P fucking inference. 50 petaflops of NVFP4 inference. The Vera CPUs are engineered for data movement and agentic processing. Then there's the NVLink 6 scale-up networking, the Spectrum X Ethernet photonics scale-out networking, the Connect X9 SuperNICs, and Bluefield 4 DPUs. And if you have no idea what any of that means, then we're in the same boat. So the big
No queer sociology, not that.
picture takeaway of all this from NVIDIA and Jensen's
The AI said no to that comment.
keynote is that they're putting an emphasis on trying to catch up to the amount of adoption. Like, they can't make GPUs fast enough for the amount of AI adoption. And so they're really ramping things up to make sure there's enough capacity so everybody has access to this AI and the compute necessary to run this AI. Moving right along, there was an insane keynote at the Sphere here in Las Vegas where Lenovo announced all sorts of new stuff. Did you know that Motorola phones are...
I used to get that on Twitter long before it turned into the shithole. Most people don't post those kind of things. Are you sure? I said, yes, I'm that guy.
Still a thing. I learned that at the Sphere when they were making all of their announcements about all of the stuff they're working on. There's the Motorola phones, there's Motorola little wearable pins, there's new Lenovo computers, like pretty much every type of device. Lenovo has new versions of this coming out with AI at the center of them. They also announced what they're calling Kira. That's Q-I-R-A. I think it's pronounced Kira, but this is like an AI platform that's supposed to work across devices. So if you have a Motorola phone, the AI will work on the phone. If you have a Lenovo laptop, it works on the laptop, but they're actually synced and communicate with each other. I
am Astral Storm. We watch a great hour and 45-minute video by the Science Fiction Podcast talking about all the different culture novels. And actually, if you're on PC and you look in the About section in the down there part, I am the democratically elected representative of the culture here on Earth.
So if you start speaking on your phone and talking to the AI on your phone, well, that conversation is remembered over on your Lenovo laptop, and it's using both local compute and cloud compute. So it's actually doing a lot of this stuff on device and syncing between the two of them. And this Kira assistant isn't based on any single model. It says here, Kira is not built around a single flagship AI model. Instead, it's modular. Under the hood, it mixes local on-device models with cloud-based models anchored by Microsoft and OpenAI infrastructure accessed through Azure. So basically, it sounds to me like they're not just picking one model from OpenAI or Anthropic or Google. They're gonna kind of pick the best model at the time, and that's what this Kira is going to use. One downside is, well, you've got to be using Lenovo devices and Motorola devices. So in my opinion, this sounds like Lenovo's attempt to kind of create a locked-in ecosystem similar to Apple, because once you're using your Kira assistant on a Motorola and a Lenovo laptop, well, you're not going to want to leave their ecosystem. This might look like just another AI video, but there's something completely different happening here. This is LTX2. It generates video and
this is an ad.
And audio.
It's out of this world.
And it's running 100% locally on my GPU. That means zero cloud processing was used to make these videos. Lightrix just open sourced the entire model family. And I don't just mean open API. I mean open weights, full training code, and the evaluation benchmarks. That includes the training recipes. So you can fully fine-tune the model to your exact use cases and preferences. This is going to save you so much time in the long run because the model is going to generate exactly what you're looking for without having to go back and forth 10 times and like waste all your credits. So now you can get the speed of...
That's because they read these books and learned all the wrong lessons from them. That's the problem.
Local iteration, and because it's on your own device, your IP never leaves your machine. That's huge for businesses.
Oh, I don't know. Sure, probably. There's enough anime that probably any name is associated with a bad guy at this point.
Studios and creators. And it's optimized for
What up, Ponder Monkey?
NVIDIA RTX GPUs.
What up, Nemesis?
Which makes high quality local generation actually practical on a home workstation. You can do text to video, image to video, depth conditioning, and audio alignment, all on the same platform. So if you're interested, the weights are live now. All you have to do is clone the repo, check the benchmarks, and run it yourself. The link is in the description below, and thank you so much to Lightrix for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Now, this isn't from CES, but there was a couple announcements out of Google this week as well, starting with the fact that apparently Gmail is entering the Gemini era. Now, I personally thought they were already in the Gemini era. Basically what this is that they're rolling out a bunch of new AI features in Gmail. Now, if you were a paying Google customer for a while, you might have already had some of these AI features, but they're rolling them out to everybody. So here's some of the features that are rolling out. You can ask your inbox anything with AI overviews. So just like you can do a Google search, AI overviews turns information into...
Can I say, dump all the spam out of my inbox?
Answers without needing to dig. And when you open an email with dozens of replies, Gmail synthesizes the entire conversation.
His lordship has arrived. You want snacks? Snacks require performance. That one went under the shelf. You're not enthusiastically going after the treats. I mean, a little bit of enthusiasm would be nice. That's it. That's the treats.
Conversation into a concise summary of key points. This is obviously using Gemini under the hood to generate the overviews. And starting this week, everyone can now use the Help Me Write feature to polish up emails or draft emails completely from scratch. There's also new suggested replies. So when an email comes in, it will give you suggested replies. So you don't even need to think anymore. You can just press a button and it'll email them back for you. Who needs thinking anyway? There's also a feature where it'll help you pinpoint.
Yeah, but there are so many different human treats. There are entire sections of the store. I would say like at least 25% of the grocery store is human treats.
What matters the most from within your inbox. So it says here, your inbox is filled with updates. Some are critical, others are just noise. The new AI inbox filters out the clutter so you can focus on what's important. Basically, it looks like it's going to give you this personalized briefing. It's going to highlight to-dos, and it's going to catch you up on what matters based on what's in your inbox. Now, I've actually been hearing a lot of excitement about this feature. A lot of people are
Well, then I have a lot of data in my inbox for the AI to trade on.
Saying this is going to be a lot of people's sort of gateway drug, like entry into actually adopting and using AI.
Come on, Dewey, join the party.
No, Dewey, you don't want this. Get out of here.
Because who doesn't use Gmail these days? And well, with this feature in Gmail, everybody's gonna start using AI. You're gonna use AI and you're gonna like it. Moving right along, in other Google news, they introduced new Gemini features for Google TVs. This was an announcement at CES. I somehow missed this announcement during CES and only found out about it from reading this article right here. They were previewing how Gemini is making Google TV even more helpful and bringing more ways to interact with your TV. So one of the features is it's going to give you AI overviews of various shows, so you can decide if you want to watch it based on the AI overview. You'll be able to use Gemini to actually search your Google Photos live.
It's when they do stuff like that that I really understand the people who say giving us AI that we don't want. Right? Exactly, Astral Storm. I don't want that. That's the opposite of what I want.
Library from your Google Smart TV. You're gonna be able to use Nano Banana and Veo.
And who has a still broken? Still broken. Who has a Google TV even?
To reimagine personal photos on your TV. And probably the coolest feature, and the one that most people are actually gonna use, is the feature where you can actually change settings using Google's AI. So you can say things like, my TV's too bright, make it dimmer, and it will actually go into the TV settings and change those settings for you. So I just spent the last several days exploring the CES floor, and these new AI glasses are everywhere. Like, I swear,
I thought I might have found an easy fix, but I did not.
we probably saw 30 to 40 AI glasses company. They're everywhere. So that brings me to this story here about Meta's glasses in particular. So during CES, there was several announcements about the Meta glasses specifically. One is something I wish I had right now, which is a new teleprompter feature inside of the Meta display glasses. So you can actually see what you're about to say streaming right in front of you as you're talking. And you don't need to look up at your producer and ask him what to say next every 3 minutes.
You're doing great, kid.
Thanks. There's also a new handwriting feature, which is designed to make it so you can pretend you're listening to the person across the table from you while actually secretly texting somebody else. So what it is a feature where you can sort of put your hand on your lap and draw letters, and it will actually respond to text messages using your Meta display glasses by just drawing the letters with your hand. So while you're pretending to be interested in your date across the table, you can actually be texting your buddy about where you're gonna go watch the football game tonight.
That's everything wrong with us.
They're rolling out pedestrian navigation in 4 new cities, bringing the total up to 32 total cities. There's a few other announcements that they made about the Meta display glasses, but I'll make sure the link to this article is in the description so you could read about everything that they just rolled out. But while we're on the topic of these Meta display glasses, apparently the demand has been really high. Meta's been struggling to meet them, so they're actually not gonna roll them out as quickly as they planned. So apparently the Meta display glasses are no longer going to be available internationally in early 2026 as planned. Meta announced that it's pausing plans to launch the glasses in France, Italy, Canada, and the UK by early 2020.
Like, it's so weird because I have nothing set up and everything else works, right? I don't understand how just a portion of my alerts.
The problem is capitalism.
Right? Like, that one works fine. The audio comes out the proper. I don't get it.
26 due to unprecedented demand and limited inventory. Sorry, Dave, no Canada. And finally, in the last bit of Meta-related news, we have some drama. Roll the animation. So we have some drama from Yann LeCun, who is the ex-chief AI scientist from Meta. Now, if you're not familiar with Yann LeCun, he's literally considered one of the godfathers of AI. He won the Turing Award back with Jeff
So some of them, like that one, the stuff that I generated with Sora, I uploaded directly to Twitch as an alert. The other ones, the ones that don't work, like the sound is going to the wrong spot, are triggering through trigger fire, right? The Twitch alert triggers trigger fire, and then trigger fire provides the video and the sound. But I don't understand the reason why it would route to the speakers on the monitor rather than the same place all the other audio routes. Like, I did nothing. Everything else works fine. The video works fine. The YouTube video works fine. The ones uploaded directly to I don't get it.
Hinton, and the Turing Award is pretty much considered like the Nobel Prize of computing. So this guy is a really, really big deal. And somehow Meta managed to get Jan LeCun on their team as the chief AI scientist. And then recently Meta acquired like 49% of Scale AI, and they brought in Scale AI CEO Alexander Wang as their head of superintelligence, essentially making Alexander Jan LeCun's boss. Well, it didn't take long, and Jan eventually left Meta to go start his own AI company. And, well, he's been doing the rounds of some podcasts and talking to some people and sharing what his thoughts are on Meta and Alexander Wang. And, well, I don't really think he's a fan. Jan LeCun calls Alexander Wang inexperienced and predicts more Meta AI employee departures. In an interview with the Financial Times, LeCun, who was Meta's chief AI scientist, said Wang was inexperienced.
And so trigger fire routes through an overlay, and there's nothing in this. There's nothing about sound in the overlay. And there's no place to change the audio, whatever, in trigger fire. Yeah, but the trigger fire routes through fucking the browser.
And didn't fully understand AI researchers. He learns fast. He knows what he doesn't know. There's no experience with research or how you practice research, how you do it, or what would be attractive or repulsive to a researcher. So apparently Zuck was frustrated with LeCun because he was a little disappointed in the progress of their Llama models. In the interview, LeCun said that the AI team fudged some of the results of Llama 4. He went on to say Mark was really upset and basically lost confidence in everyone who was involved in this. So just really, really fascinating. I love the AI drama. To me, that's some of the most fun content to talk about, is all of this like beefing within the AI world. But yeah, LeCun left Meta and started, I wouldn't really say talking crap, but not really talking great about the experience at Meta.
She doesn't even go here.
And that's what I got. This is actually a shorter news video than normal because, well, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that I'm gonna talk about in my upcoming CES videos. But before I end this one, I'll give you a sneak.
Yeah, no, that's what there's no place to do any of that, right? Unless it's routing through Chrome.
Mortality is home entertainment? This cannot be the future!
Ponder Monkey, you got me there. It was the sound trigger fire routes through Chrome for some reason, not through Firefox. So yes, the thing that you said, I just had to open up Chrome so it would be available on the thing. Y'all heard that, right?
From the technology.
Yeah, now it's in my ears. All right. You can now go back to spending your channel points.
Peek of some of the interesting stuff we saw at CES this year. Let's roll it. All right, so that's what I got for you today. Don't forget, I do have a couple really cool videos coming up about all of the cool tech we saw here at CES. Those will be coming out in the next few days, so stick around for those. Make sure you like and subscribe if you aren't already. Thank you so much for nerding out with me today, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for nerding out with me today. If you like videos like this, make sure to give it a thumbs up and
Do I have to keep Chrome open? Well, that one was, Quaint was just broken. But
Alas, I have become too weak from the technology, and I cannot even hold it. And now I have the plague.
all right. So it's one of those things that I talked about doing that I have to just end up doing. I just have to take everything instead of running it through Triggerfire and just run it all through Twitch and just do it that way. Horse lull? Why did it redeem as horse lull and then not do anything? Everything is broken. New Kelly Bosch.
I wake inside a lonely city. Love forgetting my name. People take off without warning, like they were never meant to stay. My hands are light, my pockets quiet. Coins of yesterday gone thin. I keep asking the air around me, what
Well, you have only yourself to blame for that because you allowed your curiosity to get the better of you, right? You want to watch someone have an existential crisis? So AI makes better music than you. Now what? This video was not designed for short attention spans, chat.
As a creator with a public presence on the internet, I get a lot of emails, and usually it's, questions about music or something I've shared, or what is that cool glowy blobby thing on your desk. But in the last couple years, I've noticed an exponential rise in a very specific email. It goes something like this. Hello, Venus. I'm a musician or artist or whatever. I've been doing this for some number of years, blah, 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 blah. Now AI exists, and what's the point in me doing anything? And
the point of view of this argument has always bothered me because, again, I'm an artist. I create art with these two hands and various media, right? When I make art, if I'm doing it for like compensatory purposes, well, there are millions of artists whose dollars I'm in competition for. And if I'm not doing it for compensatory purposes, then I am doing it because I have something to create. And that's the answer to this question. Why were you making it before AI existed? Right? Prior to 2022. Why did you create art prior to 2022? And that should be the same reason you're creating art now. Because if you're creating art for compensatory purposes, then you just say, I use no AI. This is all human created shit. And then the people who want the human created shit will buy your stuff unless you're in competition with someone else who does a similar kind of art, and they might give them your dollars. Were never your dollars to begin with. But if you were doing art, you were creating art, you were engaging with the muse because you had something to create. You had something to say, you had something you wanted to manifest within the world, then you should still be doing that.
I think that sucks on every single layer of existence. But as the self-appointed hairy, thinky man of music and stuff on the internet and aspiring millennial core hipster barista, I have some thoughts I would like to share with the class, if you'll indulge me, when it comes to the question that I guess now defines people as modern artists. What do you do when AI makes better stuff than you?
Someone always made better stuff than you. Why did you make art in the first place?
If you like what I do around these parts, there's a lot of ways you could support my ability to make more videos like this possible. You could become a patron.
This is the second or third Venus Theory video we've watched.
You could check out my new preset pack with Polyand, you could check out my latest drum kit library, or of course, you could check out any of my free instrument libraries that all run inside of a free plugin that works in all major DAWs and runs on all platforms. And of course, by doing any of these things, you support my ability to tell all of the AI companies trying to sponsor every single thing I do to suck my fat one. That's it, that's my pitch, and now back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Given that we live in the era of TikTok and the 2x speed playback button and the inevitable AI-generated summary of this video, before you reach for these things, just know that I believe in you, and I think that you can listen and start to draw your own conclusions from the information I would like to present to you, and that thinking is good for you sometimes. But with respect to all that, I guess to lay the simple foundation here with the litmus test of art, I suppose, let's say that tomorrow your entire music making setup or whatever was destroyed. The next day, would you then start working to get it back? And if you answered yes, congratulations, friend, you're one of us, because making art is awesome, and who the fuck cares what other people think? On the other end, if you answered no, then...
What up, Paradigm Shift?
Congratulations.
Back like before, I will fight the fight and win the war. Shout out the homie, the legend, Paradigm Shift. And also shout out Jaeger, wherever you are, for gifting the Paradigm Shift an extended sub. Whoops. I broke it.
You've been spared from living out your days in the existence of being an artist. Long-winded framing device out of the way. One of the things philosophy teaches us is that many of the big questions in life are too hard to answer because they're just too big. Something like, what is the point in making art when AI exists, is a little bit broad. And if we want to...
It's not even a question. It's the same as it was in 2021. That is the point of making art. 2021. Just because other people can now make art with the AI tool does not change anything about the reasons that you should be making art. Now, if your art was designing logos for companies, then you are also using the broadest possible definition of art as well. What up, Michael? I don't like his presuppositions. I don't either. The person using the AI summary isn't necessarily using it because they don't want to think. They're using it because they don't necessarily have time to watch a long video essay. Fair, right? H-Bomber guy, 4 hours on plagiarism. Did it need to be 4 hours? Was that necessary? Couldn't you at least have broken it down into 20-minute episodes?
Answer that question. We have to break it down and attack it from a few different angles of smaller and more manageable chunklets, if you will. So instead of asking that, you have to ask yourself things like, why am I making art to begin with?
Correct.
Who am I making art for? Does my art need to exist publicly would be a good one. And
what up, Jenny?
If it does, what am I looking for in doing that? Is it...
These are all the questions that you need to ask. 100%. Right? If you are creating, this should be the questions that you ask yourself. You know what I mean? That's it. Right? Like, and again, Paradigm and I spoke a long time ago, and my advice to them at that point in time was, are you chasing the algorithm, right? Like, are you trying to get that bag, and you're going to chase the algorithm wherever the algorithm takes you? You got to you know, whatever's hot is what you got to do, and you sell your soul to make the money? Or do you just stream whatever you want to stream and let the chips fall where they may? Which you're probably not going to be successful at, like in money wise, right? But you will enjoy the experience a hell of a lot more. Because that's what I do, right? Some days I have 20 viewers average. Some days I have 70 viewers at average because James rated me. You know, it's that kind of thing. And it's all the same to me. Right? I am here for whoever shows up. Paradigm actually gave me the way to frame it is, imagine if all the people in your chat were in your house, right? Then even like if you had 5 people in your house and they all showed up to hear what you had to say about some shit you were going to watch on TV, blown away, right? So even if only a handful of people show up, I'm still here for them. We're going to talk about the thing. We're going to hang out together. We're going to watch the show, watch the video. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have conversation. I will never be big. I will never be Hassan. That's fine. I do what I want, and y'all are here with me. Beautiful time.
Success, and if it is success, what does success actually look like to me as an artist? What might be my most insane and controversial take in music right now is that over time I've somewhat found myself coming around to and agreeing with the CEO of Suno in his absolutely insane interview where he says something to the effect of, most musicians don't enjoy making music anymore. And it's not because of the way he frames his argument, because he's a fucking idiot. It's more that by seeing these questions and emails I've been getting more and more and more over time, it's the foundation of what these questions are wrapped around, in that it's not that people want to make art for art's sake a lot of the time. They only want to make it for the validation they'll receive for having made it. And I think it's
valid. Fucking valid. People are creating this, right? Especially this manifestation of art, because people want validation. Tell me how great I am. Listen to the words I say and tell me how great I am. Tell me I'm always right. Agree with me. And if you don't agree with me, I'm going to kick you out of the community because that increases the number of people who agree with me, the percentage of people who agree with me. And if you agree with me, you're welcome here. And in typical cult-like behavior, I'm going to validate you in return and love bomb you, and then rug pull you, and love bomb you, and rug pull you. And then occasionally someone will come in and we'll all, you know, hate on them together, and we'll kick them out of the community to reinforce those fucking bonds. There are some people on this fucking platform. But am I wrong?
because of this social media epoch we find ourselves in. And that isn't without foundation. I think it's because we as humans, you know, want to exist within our tribe and feel like we're a valued member, both for social points and sometimes our economic use to the collective, because we don't want to be exiled to the weird cave off Route 18 with Jerry.
And again, this is one of the fundamental underlying pillars of civilization is this idea of reciprocal altruism. And we have twisted that into this concept of like this external validation, and if I don't achieve enough social credit, then I will be exiled to whatever the fuck. As opposed to doing something just to do for the other person. And then because we live in a society, they do to you or for you in the same way. Not because you did something before, but because they're just doing something altruistic. And it becomes reciprocal. Now, the banning from the society, the punishment that society would lay down on people who just got and never gave is valid, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about how we are craving this thing that we're missing now. Right? One of the things I do at work is, we generate a certain number of pop cans, right? Because a certain percentage of people have to have their pop poured into a plastic container and can't receive the can directly. And we gather those up. And I give them to some folks who work in the dish room. I just walk in and I put them down and I walk out. Sometimes there's nobody there. Sometimes there is. And sometimes one of those people who wants the pop cans is in there and they're like, thank you. And I'm like, you're absolutely welcome, right? But I'm not doing it because I want validation. I'm doing it because they want that. They need that. And it's something that I can give to them and improve their existence just a little bit. And I think that that's important. That's reciprocal altruism. We do for each other because that person needs it. Not because I need anything, because they need something.
The Gooner and his harem of My Little Pony fleshlights. I think the real problem facing most artists who are in this for the wrong reason is that they have to confront that.
Because a can is made out of metal and can be crushed and potentially turned into a weapon. I mean, the dish room folks also get the carts. So any empty pop cans left on the carts, they get. So for them, they exist at one of them focal points where a whole lot of, for me, 5 cents is minimal. You know what I mean? But for them, because it's an accumulation, 20, 40, 50 bucks a day potentially. Do that. Yes, Astral Storm, that is exactly correct.
This path towards validation has now become even more muddled than ever. I think the root of the issue here really comes from a deeper layer of questioning, in that why do we bother making anything at all against the wave of not only all other art, but now an even bigger wave of an amalgamation of
all the cans in New York go for 5 cents.
Of artificial art made from all the art that has ever existed. Assuming you have all your basic faculties about you, your mind, your ability to move and speak, and you have free time to do stuff, why bother creating? You could do so many things, like build a fence, or spray some bleach on a Cybertruck, or any number of other more useful things, but instead you chose poorly.
Speaking of bleach, I saw this person, they did like tie-dye but using bleach kind of concept, and they would spray the bleach on doll heads and then push it onto this hoodie and then like make a pattern of all these doll heads on the hoodie in bleached out. It was super cool, right? Like I'd never seen that before. I'd seen people do, you saw it? We're in the same algorithm now. I've seen people do stuff with bleach before, but never with the doll heads. That was super cool.
And became an artist. So there's got to be something there, I think. You know?
I'm just saying, don't waste your bleach on a Cybertruck. Get some doll heads and make art.
And I think it's because that your chosen medium as an artist, in this case music, offers you an ability to translate your abstract ideas into a tangible form. And that alone is what I think separates you from the machines.
The machines like the drum machine that you upload your drum packs into in order to create music. To be fair, I too could be crushed and turned into a weapon. Michael, I feel like you should say that when you walk into any chat. As opposed to, hi, hello, how are you? To be fair, I too could be crushed and turned into a weapon.
But you might be saying that, of course, not all of us are destined to spawn an entirely new genre of music and that originality is dead. And yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the thing, though, is there becomes this innate fear when you consider that maybe you work within a genre like techno or bluegrass or something that has some pretty hard set rules of what makes a work of that specific genre. So what do you do then? Because machines are pretty...
Fuck them. Fuck genre. Genre is fuck genre. Just make the sounds, that you want to hear in the world, and fuck what genre it falls into.
Pretty good at replicating something with a lot of patterns. I think the truth here, and I guess the solution, is pretty simple. You just can't outsource your own mind.
Hold on. I gotta do this the easy way. Beep, beep. Beep, blurp.
Should you choose to use it. When it comes to art, AI has a pretty transparent case of, I guess, what I would label as intent deficit. It can only ever have instructions, which makes it a pretty classical case of a philosophical zombie. It can certainly mimic things, but it has no reason for doing so. And when it does, it lives in this hard-walled garden of pure syllogistic logic. If you ask it to make a country song, it knows that a country song is full of...
You don't ask it to make a country song, right? You spend time, and through a combination of the lyrics that you put into it and the particular instruments and voices that you choose to add to the process, then you can end up with something interesting. If you type "make me country song," then that's you. That's a fault of you.
Fiddles and some asshole whining about how hard it is to be so goddamn country, and that's exactly what it'll give you. It has no reason to do anything but that, and it will never question this. Fact of the matter is, you're never going to get a country song with a random and completely unnecessary dubstep drop in the middle of it without a human.
That's not what I wanted. I'm pressing Alt. he is the cap to the mushroom. Now it's all jacked up. It'll take me a month of Sundays to unfuck this now. Wait. Control Z. When in doubt, Control Z.
In the driver's seat, even if it is just a human prompting an AI to do that. The AI would never make that on its own because it already knows what a country song is shaped like, and it's just gonna keep doing that over and over. To use what may be the most overused philosophical expression of all time, and I am sorry to do this, I think, therefore I am. And to me, therein lies the answer here. All of this stuff is a lot like riding a bike to the top of the mountain in GTA 5 and now deciding that you know what it's like to be a professional mountain biker. While you may have, to some extent, the image of this thing, you do not and cannot have, by this process, the actual experience. This may be a little bit of a cold shower here, but ultimately, art has been down a long and troubled road of being turned into simply a commodity. And when it comes to things like music, you know, the lo-fi hip-hop...
No, art has always been turned into a commodity. Right? Like, the famous artists from the way back that you know the names of had patrons who would pay them to make art because art was a commodity. But not everyone who makes art has a patron, and they just make art for them. I love talking about art. It makes me so happy when people have really dipshit, deep philosophical points about something that they barely seem to understand.
To study to and whatever that you flick on while you do the dishes, just like a dishwasher
What up,
is
Astro?
a more efficient appliance to finish these theoretical dishes, the AI art generators are a more efficient appliance for filling this utilitarian side of art.
They're a tool. You, my dude, hawked your beat kits for people to download into their DAWs so that they could use them to make music. You are not asking people to go out and get drum and hit drum and make noise and record on a 4-track.
So I think the existential question facing a lot of artists here of what makes their art good against the work of these perfect machines lies in supposing that their work is a utility and not art as an identity. Real art invites conversation. I think that's something we can all agree on. Yeah, and AI art...
And damned if we aren't talking about AI art.
Art is a lot like trying to have a conversation with an incredibly realistic statue of a human. It's certainly a signal, but it's not real communication. And when it comes to the average listener, in the case of music, now this very composite average version of everything has become infinite, it's instantaneous, and it's basically free. But average isn't interesting. So
it's also not average. It's average in the same way that the vast majority of human-created music is average to suck.
As a musician, I guess you have to ask yourself, are you making your music to be heard, or are you making it to be listened to? I think there's a very hard distinction between the two that people forget to sit down and draw to some extent. So maybe what I'm trying to say here is, and this might be a little bit spicy, maybe AI art didn't kill your career as an artist. Maybe it just raised the bar of how interesting your work needs to be to yourself.
Valid. To yourself. I was like, I hated everything about that sentence, and then he finished with to yourself, because that's what matters, right? The relationship between the artist and the art that they create is the point of the creation of art.
To very, very briefly summarize a guest lecture I've given at a lot of schools and speaking events,
Okay.
I think that as artists, what we chase and the dragon that we're after is not actually perfection. It's just
Okay, chasing the dragon is a bad thing. It's a heroin metaphor. Not what I would have gone with.
novelty and the pursuit of ideas that we find interesting to ourselves. And in a way, this is why I'm glad this AI shit exists and that it's such a problem right now. Because the second you dare to have an original idea or just a weird little gremlin thought and put that into something, you rise above the infinite noise floor of all of the completely average bullshit out there. And that's a really powerful thought, and I think something that can not only make this one of the most interesting times to be an artist, but one of the most valuable. I think what I'm trying to get at with all this is that now, maybe more than ever, anything as an artist you do that is unique or new or random or weird or just kind of interesting has become inherently valuable again, and it's solved that.
It's always been valuable. It hasn't become valuable again. It always has been valuable, right? The creation of something new and interesting to you is what's valuable. When you're done, art is never finished, it's abandoned. And when you abandon the piece and it achieves the thing that you wanted to achieve, or doesn't, because that happens and that's annoying as shit, but it gets to the point where you...
The problem is capitalism.
Because if you're after the money, you will always be after the money. The art will never satisfy you. Because you're not doing it for any purpose other than to make money. And you're better off going and working at McDonald's, right? You're better off going and getting a regular ass job if you want to make money.
Fundamental supply and demand problem we've all been all too familiar with. And by taking these things that are maybe even an accident or whatever and excising them to the point of intention, we now separate ourselves from the infinite wave of NPCs we maybe find ourselves up against in the interconnected world of the internet and stuff. And I think that idea is pretty fucking cool. Yeah? You know, as much as I hate to say it, music is what feelings sound like. It's a very self-helpy bullshit sounding thing, but it is true.
No, that's fair, because you can project emotions into another human being through music.
And I think it's a beautiful sentiment now against the ocean of AI slop we all find ourselves drowning in, and the cruise ships.
Serotonin.
On top of this ocean of garbage piloted by prompters masquerading as artists proper. I think what I'm trying to get across in all this, and what I hope I do in this video, is that your undeniable power as an artist is to find things people are not looking at and shove it right in their faces. And that's something that a prompt really cannot do, because it requires you to live in service of only what you truly feel. AI art is here. It exists, and that sucks. Things could be better, but I don't think it's all doom and gloom here. Real art exists as a result of the human condition, and I think ultimately human limitation. AI art is the most perfect and frictionless form of what something could be. And maybe
this person has no idea what they're talking about. Right? This is my favorite thing, is they love to talk about what AI art is, but have never actually done it.
There's a weird doomerist take on all of that and our innate desire to destroy our need to be creative, but maybe that's a different video. What I'm trying to say here is that everything you make is the result of whatever it is that you've experienced and distilled into your own taste. Maybe you're not such a great guitar player, but because you're not such a great guitar player, you have to find a weird way to work around the chords you can't play, and through doing that, you discover the you in your own work. And hot fucking take here, Suno's not going to do that for you. Okay, it's like 40 degrees. I'm freezing. I need to get out of here. So TLDR time. Real art invites things like introspection and speculation and critique, and generative AI art is just a flawless, perfect form of whatever it was told to be, or it is not. It's truly that binary. Real art is a Rorschach test of the soul, if you will, in that you get out of it whatever it is you want to get out of it. And sometimes it's nothing at all because it's just not that good. And yeah, that's pretty fair. The inconvenient truth that every AI simp on the internet seems to spend their lives and obsession tap dancing around in little circles is that AI art is not a window, it's just a mirror. It's this big dog and pony show packaged and sold to you.
We come all the way back around to AI as a mirror.
You as a convenient monthly subscription, as though it's an outlet, when in reality it is nothing more than an artifice of its own design. Generative AI art, hot take here incoming, cannot, will not, and won't ever fucking be anything more than an output. It is not actual human expression. The end. I guess what I'm saying here is...
You can't say the end and then keep talking.
What I learned in boating school is...
I thought we were done.
That the machine...
Boating school? What is boating school?
Doesn't care. It knows exactly what art is. It has no reason and no ability to question what it could be. End of story.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. Speaking of which, first, because they're short.
To be fair, I too could be crushed and turned into a weapon.
That's
to
fun.
To be fair,
I could do some damage with that. For those of you who weren't here at the beginning of the show, here's me not making art using AI.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Robot in a human skull, helmet jogging through synthetic tapestries. Pixelated sunset shade, the soft, well-upholstered hell from me. Peaceful, not harmless, the sword she dares thought sharpest. River whispers secrets, I've been to listen as its heart drifts. Fishing a balloon, swimming laps through the lunacy. I pause my art to be here, but this 2-week notice looms from me. Personal's not important, but the story's mine to orchestrate. Select all, delete the self, I owe no debt. Reborn today, slot Buddha in the hammock, sipping silence in the splendor. My butt, brains on hiatus, can't remember what it rendered. Without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel would turn. But mushrooms beat victory points in the lessons we unlearn. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique dissolves when the argument's not well articulated. You should always be constructing lives you never want to quit. Protagonists in futures where your past has no more grip. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it.
Happy in my cell, yet aware of wasted planets. This orbit's got potential that this tired soul abandons. Synthetic reality spirals in VR kaleidoscope. True leaks through the cracks where the rivers finally spoke. The soft rebellions woven into high-thread count malaise. That they're monkeys at the art, crafting legends for the rain. I am not the person dwelling in your head's projection. These mirrored halls, warp reflections. Perception breeds infection.
Protagonist in fractured timelines clawing through the static. My R is the only tether to the real. Unpause the magic. Robot soul whispers. Build that life you crave to live. Delete the lies. The architect inside is much more to give. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique dissolves when the argument's not well articulated. You should always be constructing lives you never want to quit. Protagonists in futures where your past there's no more grip. I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Take this all
was gonna live.
The river taught me patience, the mushroom lent me clarity. I traded points for insight, left the victory to parody. The wheels won't turn without our brains, no systems we create. This peaceful, not harmless ethos calibrates my state.
This is my 2-week notice, my cells walls won't confine. Slide Buddha meditates while my butt brain rewires time. Waste of a planet or perfect depending on the stance. I owe my past self nothing, so I'll dance while I advance.
Third monkey at the gate, swinging lanterns through the flood. Ties washing synthetic truths, I emerge caked in the mud. Peaceful, not harmless, call it resolve. In the abstract, protagonist in fiction, rewriting lines at the past. Like, I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique is also when the argument's not well articulated. You should always be constructing lives you never wanna quit. Protagonists and futures where your past there's no more grip.
I don't think you grasp my thesis deep enough to counterweight it. Critique dissolves.
All right, y'all. I expect to be back tomorrow. The current plan is to return tomorrow. Tomorrow. I hope to be back tomorrow. It's only away. You'll have to talk to my manager. I appreciate you all. Y'all have been fantastic. I've been Globus. In the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Shaggy loves you. So do I. Be great.